Earthing and being outside in nature is such an underrated way to support the nervous system. And this isn't to discount the fact that there are so many amazing practitioners out there working to help restore nervous system regulation. But I want this to be another layer or something foundational that's not considered when it comes to how can we help the nervous system come back into equilibrium, come back into balance, and even be better adapted at essentially responding to the different stressors that we may be experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And so I want to talk about this through the lens of nature, and specifically when we're outside connecting to different frequencies. One of those frequencies is simply actually connecting our body to the surface of the earth. So the surface of the earth has charge. So essentially you've got these two different layers, right? You've got a positive, a more positive atmospheric layer and a more negatively charged surface of the earth. And if there are areas where that Earth's charge starts to get depleted, lightning strikes will come to reestablish this healthy negative charge. And we can pull that negative charge in through bare skin. Now, not only are we pulling that negative charge in through bare skin, but that negative charge is also, on average, up to about 55 feet into the air, about 130 millivolts, right? It's a dense amount of charge. We'll experience more of that charge when we're in nature and less when we're in more populated, denser cities. We're going to experience that charge when we're outside as opposed to indoors. So these days, the vast majority of us are either not in nature enough, or we're just disconnected when we are outside through the use of non-conductive shoes, like shoes that block the charge from flowing through our skin and into our bodies. And so we're divorcing ourselves from a key source of what I would call electrical nourishment for the body, but also key regulatory frequencies that allow our body to come back into rhythm and homeostasis. And so just the charge alone, just soaking up Earth's frequencies alone, is enough to where they have talked about something called the neuromodulative role of earthing. So essentially, if we can conduct to Earth's charge and funnel that charge into our body, we're going to naturally have a greater electrical potential. And since we are electrical beings and we use that electricity in many ways, not the least of which is through our nervous system, we require that electrical nourishment in order to be responsive and responsive creatures and with the ability to adapt. And so essentially what they're finding is through earthing, you actually allow the nervous system to be better adapted to just the natural demands that are placed on living organisms. So something that we just don't consider, living in this this way where we're wearing shoes all the time and we're divorced from Earth's charge. Now, interestingly, they're finding that this beneficial effect can happen both through touching bare skin to the surface of the earth, but also through indoor earthing. However, clinically, I have found that it is way more effective to be outside an earth because of the fact that that's going to connect you more strongly to other frequencies that I'm going to talk about here as a means of helping to regulate nervous system activity. But essentially, let's talk a little bit about what parts can we show, or what can we see that changes or responds instantaneously when someone's feet are connected or bare skin is connected to the surface of the earth. Well, earthing generates immediate changes in EEGs, so brainwave activity, something called surface electrobiography. So essentially how our muscles are willing to fire, are able to fire and respond, and something called our somatosensory evoked potentials. So essentially our perception and responsiveness of our body in space or in this location. So our body essentially becomes more online through an integration of brainwave activity, muscle activity, and other somatosensory inputs that allow our body to come back into homeostasis. And when we're disconnected from those inputs, or when those inputs are chaotic or confusing, as they would be when we're not connected to the surface of the earth, we have a harder time bringing the body back into homeostasis or balance and rhythmic balance. And so something as simple but underrated as earthing can play a big role. And I've seen this time and again when clients have experienced what they felt like were bouts where they were in this phase where their nervous system was feeling dysregulated, and they would go outside and they would connect to the surface of the earth, and it would have an almost instantaneous effect on allowing their nervous system to come back into balance. I've seen the same thing also in individuals who are going through heart arrhythmias or heart palpitations, or just like this when the rhythm of their heartbeat is not coherent. And I would have clients go outside who are experiencing these arrhythmias and earth their feet. And again, within minutes, those arrhythmias dissipate. And so again, not medical advice, right? This is not medical advice, but just interesting observations when it comes to what we can do, how our body can come back into rhythm and come back into regulation when we earth and ground ourselves more frequently. The other thing about it is that earthing actually helps to maintain our circadian rhythm. And it does that because we've got the earth has an electrical charge, essentially an electric field that we can connect to with bare skin that also varies over the course of a 24-hour cycle. So not only do we have a variation in sunlight and darkness, but we have a variation in this electrical charge that's called the Carnegie curve. So earthing reinforces our ability to tell time, or our ability to know time of day and even time of year, which is why I find that when I myself or with my family or when clients travel across many time zones and they have to adjust their circadian rhythm to that time zone, my clients who not only see the sunrise and go out in the morning to set their circadian rhythm with the light, not only does that have a benefit, but that benefit is amplified if they're able to earth and ground at the same time. The adjustment to the new time zone will be that much quicker, with that much less symptoms of jet lag. So there is something about syncing and connecting those two signals together, the fluctuations in the charge of the earth with the changing light signals, that really reinforces timing in our body. The other thing, when we're outside and we're grounded, we actually are connecting our physical bodies to a conductive surface. We're essentially, and it's the same reason, we're an antenna, right? We're full of this structured liquid crystalline water. Remember, liquid crystals are antenna. They've been used for a long time as an antenna technology. And so the same reason that antenna at radio stations or other areas where you need a strong signal output or signal reception, and the same reason those antenna need to be grounded in order to strengthen the signal to noise ratio, we are the same way. We have certain signals that we need to key in on. But these days we are bathed in a lot of noise that makes it harder for us to tap into those signals. And one of those such signals is the Schumann resonance. It runs from about 3 hertz up to 60 hertz with a main peak at 7.83 hertz. And this Schumann resonance is generated as something that's called infrasonic information, or sound information or sound frequency outside the range of our audible hearing. And what happens is that this Schumann resonance is maintained permanently because of, as lightning strikes the earth, it creates this infrasonic vibration that then bounces off the ionosphere, which is a portion of our atmosphere, and then back and forth and back and forth. And that bouncing generates a certain rhythmicity, again, with the main one being at about 7.83 hertz or 7.83 cycles per second. So why does this matter? Well, at 7.83 cycles per second, we are talking about getting into the, like, let's say around 8, that's the alpha theta, mainly the alpha theta range of brain waves. Okay, cool. What's going on there? Why is that important? Well, what that says is if 8 hertz is the dominant frequency of the Schumann resonance, then and we see instantaneously that when we earth and ground and we connect more strongly through EEG measurements to that frequency, and we have brainwave changes, it means that we're designed to be connected to the surface of the earth and then sync our brainwaves to that most dominant harmonic, or that most dominant frequency of 8 hertz, putting the human in a natural state of calm and creative. Now, there's a second harmonic at about 14 hertz, which is perfect because 14 hertz is the next dominant frequency from the Schumann resonance. And that frequency of 14 hertz puts us in low beta. So alert, right? So we're in this balance of alert, calm, and creative. But these days, more and more people are not connected. And when we're not connected, we are surrounded by very rapidly pulsing energies, such as non-native EMFs, talking about like gigahertz, like super fast, which is putting people in what I would call high beta, which is hyperarousal, high anxiety, hyperarousal, hyperreactivity. And so earthing, right? It is such a earthing and getting outside and connecting more strongly with Earth's electrical charge. And then because we're becoming these grounded antenna, we're connecting more strongly to the Schumann resonance. This is playing a huge role in allowing the body and the nervous system to come back into natural regulation. And without checking in and doing these and strategically having our clients connect with the earth, connect with those Schumann harmonics, connect with the electrical activity, you can start to see how it's much easier to be dysregulated in a world that's designed to drive us into fear, designed to drive us into separation, divide us, make us angry. It's really easy to be more dysregulated when we don't connect more strongly with the signals that help our body maintain rhythm, balance, and homeostasis. So as a practitioner, it's not about an extensive, go outside and kumbaya for 3 hours straight, but periodically having clients check in and ground and earth. And then as they do that, to check in with their nervous system, check in with their heart rate, like basically their rhythm, the rhythm of the heart rate, beats per minute, heart rate variability, even if they can do that, to check in with the breath. Because all of these things, from the brainwave states to the heart to the breath, are all connected to our deeper connection to the earth. And so it's just another indication of how intimately we are connected with nature and with Mother Nature, and how the ability to divorce ourselves from that by living indoors over 93% of the time, it's creating discoherence. It's creating a lack of the ability to restore our balance and to return us back into homeostasis. And not only that, but if we do get pushed out of homeostasis, if there's a major stressor, if we can earth and ground and connect, it actually gives our nervous system a better ability through our breath, through our heart, through our brainwaves to come back into regulation. It makes us much more stress resilient. So I highly encourage you to kind of work with your clients to incorporate this, especially if they're experiencing nervous system dysregulation. And if it's nervous system dysregulation that has not been responsive to other really important strategies, let's say like some somatic work or journaling or EMDR. There's tapping, right? So if you are working with clients and you're not seeing the results you want, start connecting them more strongly with nature's signals, with nature's electrical activity of the earth, and with those Schumann harmonics, and it will really help to start bring them more easily into regulation.